Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Mental Health in Your Neighborhood. That was my friend Shedrick, whose music is the theme of my broadcast. And also, the co-host is also the person who created the broadcast system for the church and is my senior pastor. Good morning, Pastor Bruce.
Good morning, Louise. And I didn't hear you invite me to submit one of my songs to your broadcast so that my music can also start your broadcast.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that you would be available to provide something like that because I hear you in the sanctuary.
Right, and you know that I have a perfect pitch, and I would be an ideal person to supplement from time to time this gentleman that you have singing on your broadcast. So we'll talk about that afterwards.
Yes, we'll do something to perhaps create a video that can be played another time. Okay, so how have you been?
I am doing well. I've been up since 4. I've been here since early in the morning, and I feel tired. I feel like I could go right over to one of those chairs, put my feet up, and take a little nap.
I'm sure that you would have no trouble falling asleep.
You know what? I never do. It's just going to sleep has never been a problem. Waking up has never been a problem. When I'm in a position, and when I try to go to sleep, my dog will come over and wants to jump on my stomach and just stay there while I'm sleeping. And the dog's about 50 pounds.
Oh, is that just one dog? Do you have 2 dogs?
We have 2.
Yeah. I thought
Ella and PJ.
I thought you had 2 dogs. Yes. I know they're 2 good-sized dogs too.
Well, one is good size, big, kind of big, and the second one is a small little poodle pug, and he's just very small. And it's the small one that makes the most noise, that thinks it can take on everybody, and the big one is just as calm as it can be.
Yes, I had a dog when I lived in my single-family house. I had to give him up when I moved into the condo, though.
Right. Do they allow dogs now, or there's still a no dog policy?
They only allow them if somebody has a letter from a medical practitioner that says that they need to have support from this dog.
Those are support dogs. I was going to ask you what they call them, and they have support or something written on a vest that they wear.
Right.
I've never really studied it or read up on it, but I see these people taking these dogs in the grocery stores and the barbershops. They bring them everywhere. What is the technical term, when we say support dogs, what does that mean?
Well, it means that the person who owns the dog receives support, emotional support, psychological support for having a dog that they live with, that they can take with them all the places that they go.
I don't understand the emotional psyche that says, I mean, I do know the comfort that animals give to people. But when I see people with these support dogs, and I don't know if any of these dogs, I think some of them are trained. It's just a little weird because they're really dependent upon that dog to uplift them emotionally. Is that it?
Yeah, and if they've been trained for the purpose of being a support dog, they're extremely expensive. There's a lot of money to pay for a dog that has been prepared for providing support.
Because that dog just focuses on you, right?
Yes, yes.
Well, I'm going to do some research on it so we can do a program,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
it's not something for me to laugh about.
Right.
My dog affords me, my dogs, certain type of support, because people can spank a dog and the dog will still love the owner, right? But I've seen more and more and more support dogs than I've ever seen before. So it's a business. It's turning into a business, and as you say, dogs have to be trained, and then they have to see if the dog and the owner can actually work together.
Right.
It's become an industry, I think.
Right. And I had an untrained dog in my single family house that was a Jack Russell Terrier. And he was, he had been living with someone else since he had been born. And they never allowed him to go out in the yard. Never. It was incredible.
So you went to the bathroom in the house?
In the house all the time.
On a box?
On papers.
Why did they do that?
It was just ridiculous. I couldn't understand what was going on there, because there was a mother and a father and children, and the mother was a nurse, and she worked in the hospital. And I was really shocked when my son's friend said, I want you to go visit that dog because you might want to adopt that dog and bring him home. And when I realized how ridiculous they were treating that dog, that they were not letting the dog go outside, they were not feeding the dog on a regular basis. There were so many things they were not doing. I said, yes, I'll take him. So that the moment I looked at him, I took him outside, and they started yelling, and they said, where are you? Where are you?
They were calling the dog?
And they were calling me because I had taken the dog outside. And they couldn't understand why I took the dog outside. But I had brought a blanket with me, and I wrapped him up and put him in the back seat of my car. And after he got used to being in my car, he would jump up on the ledge, the window ledge, and watch everybody going by. He was quite an interesting dog.
I was taking the small pug poodle to see the veterinarian. So we're on 95 or 128, and we're driving from Hyde Park to Braintree. And so one dog is on the right-hand side of the car, just looking at the window, but the smaller dog is actually got his paws on the window control. So I didn't know that. So I'm looking in the mirror because I was taking a left turn. I saw my dog's head outside the window, and I said, stop that, get in, because I thought the dog could jump on 128. That would be it. And so I closed the window and I locked it. We have the locks on the windows. Right? I'm driving. I look out the window, look at the mirror. The dog's head is hanging out the window. I had put the window up. I had pressed the control to lock it. How did the dog get his head out? And so I pulled the car over, and I saw that the dog's paws were on the window, the up and down window. So whenever it was on the window, it knew how to put the paws on the window to get the window to come down.
It's just incredible what some dogs that live with you and get used to everything around them, where they live, in the house, in the backyard, in the basement, in the automobile, especially in the automobile, this story you're telling. It's incredible that they're able to do that.
And in my where my house is, I have a large backyard, and so the dogs do not go in that backyard. I've sectioned the backyard off to main yard for humans, and inner yard for the dogs. Then another third is for Karen with her swinging chair. And so I don't walk the dogs a lot, because when I come home, I don't feel like walking the dogs. I don't feel like doing anything but going to bed. But the dogs have had all this energy stored up from being home all day and sleeping, that when I come home, even if I don't want to take them out, they want to go out. And I just open the back door, and they just run after each other, and they chase each other, and they go to the bathroom, and then they come in. But there are some people I see on my street who religiously walk their dogs. I don't know how they do it. Maybe they don't come home as late as I do, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, maybe they don't get up as early as you do.
They don't get up as early, right? My energy level is down to 0, but they have been resting. Theirs is up over 100.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I have a backyard, and there's 2 dogs, so they'll chase each other, going around in circles,
right,
and exhaust each other that way.
Well, that's good. That's a good thing, because that's good for dogs to be able to go outside. I think it's really important for them to be able to do that. So that's a good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, I will commit to look. I want to look up support dogs, so that the next time we come on, we can do a little segment on it, because I've seen it, but I do not understand all the reasoning around it.
Yeah, you want to understand the components
it's a new industry.
The components. Okay. All right. Well, that's good.
What are we talking about today?
I thought we'd talk about the governor's message last night.
Okay.
It was really intense.
Do you sense or perceive that our governor is an intense elected official? I mean, he's different.
He is different because he's an elected official. He is in the one type of connection, and yet he didn't want to participate in what the former president was doing. The former president, and not the current president. And he tended to do what was best for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Right. And has he paid any price for that, with the lack of federal dollars coming to Massachusetts?
Not yet. He's still waiting for some federal dollars, but he's doing. he's actually been able to get a number of jobs for people.
Okay.
There's an increase in jobs, and there's some things he wants to do before he leaves. And it was just incredible. And it seemed as though every time he said something, there was a round of applause.
Well, I wonder why a popular governor is transitioning out after 2 terms. I didn't know until he was in office that he can go 3 terms. He can go another.
He was eligible for a 3rd term. Yeah,
I mean,
he was.
And I do not know the entire history of Boston to know if there have ever been governors that have gone 4 terms or 5 terms.
Actually, I just in case we have some people listening that don't live in Boston or in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, we are talking about Charlie Baker, who is a Republican, but acted like he was a Democrat in many
Do
ways.
do you think he acted like he was a Democrat, or do you think that he just did not act like a Republican, and he did not act like a Democrat? He just acted like he was working for the best interests of the people who put him into office.
Yes, it sounded more like what you just said, because when he gave his talk last night, he seemed to speak more about the interest
Yeah.
that he had in specifics.
Right.
Yes.
So I have not had any dealings with him. There was no reason for me to, but I was told, to my disappointment, that he didn't have any African Americans serving in his cabinet at all. So it was I can't say all white, because there could have been some Asian or others, but it was devoid of a black presence, black leadership in his office, and so that troubled me a little bit.
But when he was reporting, he said something about there being a two-thirds number of Black Americans being involved in activities to help the Commonwealth.
Well, I don't know how he defines all of that. I just felt that it would have been better to have had black folk in his administration at a cabinet level, so that we could see them, and it would inspire many of our young people,
Right.
and that we would have a go-to person who would understand what we are dealing with when we had to ask them questions and to try to get results.
Right, right. Well, there were a few black people in the audience who were elected officials, but they weren't able to introduce each and every person.
That'd be too much.
Yeah.
Leon Rock said Charlie Baker has no blacks in his cabinet, so he's on the same theme that I'm on.
Right.
And I think that if there was anything that was obvious to me, was that he didn't have any blacks folk in his cabinet.
Not
Very
close,
obvious.
not working close with him,
Yeah.
which is what was your preference.
So
Yeah.
So the other thing is that some people, one person has been talking to me, and one person has been saying that I need to consider running for an office, and I said my family's not going to support that. Number one. Number two, they were talking about me running for the governor's council, which would be less stress than running for one of those constitutional offices.
Right. Right.
That when you run for the other one, it's less money, it's less time. But I also said to the person who wants me to do it, I am not interested in any run for office at this time. I said I am tired most of the time, and I need to take my naps. I'm staying away from that.
But you also have a tremendous amount of responsibility for the things you actually do.
Correct.
I mean that's something I mentioned you originally on the when we started the broadcast, that you had created the broadcast system for Global Ministries Christian Church.
Yeah.
And you're the CEO for that, and you are also the senior pastor for the church, and a number of we've had service every single Sunday since last March. And you have participated a number of times. There have only been a few times that you have not attended. But you have participated. If you haven't been there for Sunday, you've been there for Friday night prayer.
Yeah, I've tried. And can you believe that this coronavirus with all of its variants, has been around for 3 years.
I know, and it's just amazing that we've all, as Black Americans, white Americans, Asian Americans, African Americans, whatever we want to call ourselves, but we've all had to make an adjustment with our jobs, with our families, everything we've had to adjust to, because we've had to do this, but we can't go there. Or we have to do this, but we can't meet with those people in that group.
I am so glad that my children are all grown up,
Mm-hmm.
because I would not want to have to parent with this coronavirus, this pandemic, because I just think that it would have totally overwhelmed me.
Mm-hmm.
And then having to work from home, a family, mother and father, and then having your children home, which one of the two of you are going to help them with their education?
Right.
So
right.
I'm glad it's winding up. It's not gone away yet, though, but I know that it's slowing down.
I've heard that it is slowing down because the most recent Omnipro or whatever, I can't remember how to say it, but that one is not as serious an impact on folks as the other deterrent that arrived 3 years ago.
Well, I'm hoping that this coronavirus is going to. It probably will never go away 100%, right? It's probably going to be with us every season, every year. So we just need to figure out how to adjust
Right.
to it. There was a discussion earlier today with one of our broadcasters who said that he has not taken the shot, and there was a story about a man who was in line to receive a kidney, and because he would not take the vaccination, the hospital refused to keep him in line to receive a kidney.
I thought that person was waiting to receive a heart transplant.
Heart transplant. Yeah,
Yes,
you're right.
that was a heart transplant. Yeah, that's amazing, because if folks have refused the vaccination, then the hospital is refusing to allow them to come in and be patients and
Right.
be involved in other activity.
So the person who was very upset that the hospital was weighing into this political thing, this political battle, he felt that the person had a right to say, I don't want to take the vaccine. But then the hospital has a right to say, well, if you don't want to take the vaccine, we have a right to say this heart is going to go to somebody else. The question was raised to me, would I take the vaccine so I could receive the transplant? And my response was yes. I said, one, I'm going to die. One of the things, one of the caveats was that if the person took the shot, they could die. That's
Right.
what I was told. I haven't read the story. But if they don't receive the heart transplant, they're going to die anyway.
Right.
So I said, I listened to my doctor. I asked my doctor about the vaccinations,
Right.
the boosters, and my doctor has been vaccinated, took the booster. I'm going to follow him because I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I can make judgments about my future and things that I should do, should not do, vaccinations I should take, I should not take. But I'm not as informed as a medical person.
Right.
So my doctor does guide me through a lot of these decisions.
Right.
So I said to the gentleman that I would have said yes to the shot so that I could have the heart transplant.
Right.
And if you decide that you're not going to take the shot for religious reasons, moral reasons, whatever, you've just closed the door to you receiving the heart transplant.
Right.
I don't feel sorry for you.
I know that, but that is a disadvantage, though, because there are other people in the world who have received transplants
Yep.
Under other circumstances who have succeeded in surviving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
Do
And
we
that's what I said about we have made so many adjustments to this extreme situation of the two different kinds of viruses. Well, they're major viruses, but they're two different kinds that we have been impacted by.
Right, and there's probably going to be another one. Because I was listening to medical authorities talking about there was a country where they either thought about a fourth shot, a second booster.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they've done it. And I was getting leery of the booster shots. And so I had said to myself that I really don't want to have a fourth one shot. I said, I've done 2. I have a booster. It should be enough. But if the virus continued the way that it is now and got worse, we would all be faced with making decisions about the fourth vaccination.
Right. I know, because I've had a booster and I've had no reaction to any of the injections that I received.
Yeah.
But I've talked with people who have had the vaccination and have had some kind of a reaction.
Did they describe what it was?
A pain in their arm or feeling lousy and staying home for a couple of days. That didn't happen to me at all.
Well, that did happen to me for I believe both shots and the booster.
Yeah.
I felt a little tired, a little weary, but I felt that was to be expected.
Yeah.
You know, when I've taken a flu shot, I felt the same way.
Well, that's interesting, because in your case, it might have been just because you get up so early in the morning anyway, and you do a lot of things early in the morning.
Right. I think you could be right there. That I'm tired anyway.
Right.
But I was not thinking that I was going to take the booster shot until my wife scheduled both of us to take the shot. So I said to myself, I have to take her because she can't go by herself.
Right.
So I just concluded that if she's going to take it, I might as well take it.
Yeah,
along with her.
She was correct. She was correct in making that plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So didn't talk to me about it. But anyway, so when we went into the school, it was at a school on a Saturday, so school was closed. We were the only senior citizens in the entire auditorium and room. She was the only person in a wheelchair, and I'm pushing her around. And people were just, oh. They saw this old man pushing this young lady around in a wheelchair. And one of the ladies asked me, she said, how long have you been married? I said, 35 years. And she said, what is the secret? I said, relationship with Christ. And I said, a sense of humor.
Sense of humor, very good.
Yeah, because sometimes you have options. So when we talk about mental health in your neighborhood, there are options. You can either get mad at somebody who's angry or mad at you, or you could find another way of dealing with it and processing it. And so I've learned never to be as angry or mad as the other person might be towards you. Because when you do, there are some people who do very well when they're angry and they're mad. They can throw out the words. They can think clearly. They can just punch, verbally. But that's not me. If I'm angry or mad, I end up feeling hurt, and I'm not good at talking and defending myself. So when somebody else is upset with me, if I'm being married, if on a few occasions that Karen's upset with me, I do not have the same emotion that she has, and internally I smile. I wouldn't smile, but internally I either laugh it off or smile because I'm not feeling the same rage that she's feeling. And if I'm feeling that rage, I try to go to another place.
Right.
Not physically, but in my mind.
Right.
I go to another place of tranquility so that I can function and stay married another year.
That's a good plan.
And that's how I've been with you as the church treasurer. Whenever we have a church treasurer problem, I just find another place to go in my mind. And you and I have worked together for how many years?
29. No. We've known each other 29. I think it's probably 18 or 19.
I can't even remember when you came on. I can't. I think at the time I wasn't going to bring a treasurer on. I think at the time I was saying we need a bookkeeper.
Yeah.
Somebody who's not a member of the church.
I replaced someone that...
Bill?
Pardon me?
Was it Bill?
Bill was involved with the finances, but the person that physically did the finances was
the young lady.
The young man that was married. He was the white guy married to a black lady.
I know you're talking about.
I
know you're talking about.
Yeah.
I can't pull the name.
Yeah.
When two seniors are talking, that's how it is. It's
it's amazing. Yes, amazing. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It certainly doesn't matter to our listeners to know the names of people.
Let me ask you a question. Mental health in your neighborhood. Do you find that your recall is slowing down? That you can't remember pulling names? Yeah,
it definitely is. But I find also that working as the clerk and treasurer of this church and working as a member of the trustee board on my condo association, the two things that are keeping my brain active. I physically did a number of things when I was younger, like climbing up on the roof and helping to install the roofing. But I don't do that anymore, and I don't consider it, and I wouldn't consider it. But the thing that I do that involves using my brain is better. And so that works better for me.
Leon Rock was watching us. I don't know if he's still watching us, along with Margot and Terrence. If Leon Rock is watching us, I'd love him to give us a call because I find myself, I did a broadcast this morning, and I have not been doing live broadcasts. I recorded them at my house at night, and then I just put it on in the morning so I can come in and not have to be stressed out. But I did a live one today, and I found myself, I'm going through a period of struggling to pull names and to have conversations that are fluid, and part of it could be the fact that, as you said, I get up early in the morning, like 4 o'clock today, and I might go to sleep at 12 or 1 and then have to get up at 4 the next day. So that could be impacting my recall, or it could be something else.
It could be the fact that we're both aging. There's a process.
But is that supposed to happen when you age? I thought when you aged, For example, 80 is the new 60.
Well, I know that we do have that advantage because many years ago, 35 was a great number, and people were concerned about living beyond 35. And I'm talking about many, many years ago.
Yeah.
But now,
Well, you could say many, many years ago because you're many, many old.
but since I'm older than you are,
Yes.
I do have the advantage of holding on to my mind and doing the things that I need to do.
You're working at it, though. You're intentionally working at
it,
right?
Yes, I am. And the other thing I'm doing is I'm involved with prison reform. So, I receive a number of letters from people in prison who tell me the problems that they're having, and that gives me an idea about what kinds of things I want to tell elected officials to do about prison reform.
Terrence said, Louise, yes, stay off the roof. The murmuring is enough. But I find myself... you talk about mental health in your neighborhood. I once went to see a neurologist to talk about my not being able to pull things back, maybe 10 years ago. It wasn't a good meeting. It was a very difficult meeting, and I've never actually gone back. What I probably need to do is to go to bed earlier and get up later.
Right.
And then see if that routine. But you know what? When I'm home and I'm working on a project, for example, last night I was working on a project. I was exhausted, and so I said it was 8:30. I said I'm going to go to bed and take a nap, and then get up at 10 or 11 and work for another 2 hours. So I got up at maybe 10, then 10:15, then 10:30. I just hit the buzzer.
Right.
And I got up at 11, but I still did not have the energy to do another 3 hours. I just went back to sleep. But I do that a lot. I'll try to do a quick nap and then get up and try to work. What you said something, and I said it too. I'm trying to find ways to cope with the aging.
Right.
So that
it's
mental health in my neighborhood,
process.
I don't get depressed.
Yeah. Right.
Or think, because sometimes I feel like I can't do certain things anymore.
Right.
And I know you've never felt that before.
Well, I know that I can't do things like climbing up on the roof, because if Terrence is still listening, many, many years ago, I designed a single-family house and helped my husband to build it. And even though I worked full-time for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, on my days off, I used to work on the house, and I did use the ladder and climb the roof and do things like that. And ironically, right now, my eldest son owns the house that I built.
Wow.
So it's his house now. It's his house, not my house anymore, but it's his house. And he wanted to own the house that he grew up in. So there was not a problem for me to pass it on to him.
Yeah, that makes sense. Leon Rock, if you're calling, I'd love you to call in and talk to Louise and I about memory, about how you're doing. Are you forgetting things? Leon goes for walks. He's on YouTube, on Facebook, walking. I don't know if it's 5 miles or 6 miles, but I see him walking.
Wow.
That might be something that he does. One of the things, you talk about the roof, one of the things that I'm going to do, I tried to do it this summer, I couldn't get to it. I have a tree in the middle, in the front of the house, and every year I trim the limbs so that the people who have trees in the neighborhood, And if you're walking down the street, you have to cross the street because they never trim the limbs at the bottom and the all over the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So I have a ladder, and I just put the ladder up on the tree. I climb the tree, then I pull up my electric saw, and I just cut it off. And I'm gonna. I was thinking of doing it actually during the winter. You're not supposed to do it during the winter, are you?
No.
It's not good. Tell me why.
Well, because the limbs could be frozen.
Too brittle.
Yeah, and be brittle. Yeah.
And
you could end up finding something. If you're trimming something, it could flip right off. A branch could flip right off.
Oh.
And go further away than you intended for it to go.
Okay, Terrence is responding. He said, I read a great book on sleep a few years ago and what it does to the body. I would highly recommend reading up on sleep, especially if you have low energy. Your blood pressure will drop and your heart will be able to take a break. Sleep also causes the body to release hormones that can slow breathing and relax the muscles in the body. This process can reduce inflammation and assist with healing. Recovery takes work, and you need energy to work.
Thank you so much, Terrence. I know that you have looked that up for us. Thank you so much.
Well, Terrence is watching a lot of the broadcast, and he knows all of us, quite frankly.
He does, and he actually sent me a donation for the prison reform.
That's amazing. That's great. And I was hoping Leon, who works for a lot of people during the day, because he's walking, I want to know if the walking has really helped him, because since the pandemic, I have not been back to the gym. I used to go to the gym to work on my belly, to work on my stomach. I would get my cardio in because I need that for the heart. And for 3 years, I haven't been back in the gym. I haven't been doing much of that.
Right.
So I'm very concerned that without getting that cardio in, I'm not doing anything to help my body.
I know. Well, one of the things that I'm doing when I'm not here, because I live at the ocean, and one of my Christian brothers right here in this church gave me a walker that he had purchased for his mom, but she couldn't use it. She physically wasn't capable of using it, so he gave it to me. He said, "Give me the key to your car." And I gave him the key to my car, and he put the walker in my car. And then he gave me the key back. But
do you use it?
But anyway, I use it for the exercise that I think that I need. I push myself across the street to the ocean.
Okay.
And I walk the walkway. I don't go down into the
where the water is.
Where the water is, because it's too soupy sometimes. But I do a lot of walk that way, and I can stop and sit down on the walker.
Yeah.
And I can look at the ocean, and I think about God making the ocean.
Yeah.
And there it is.
Well, Leon Rock, who hasn't called us yet, he said walking is amazing. He does 5 miles a day. So the question is it 5 miles 5 days a week, 5 miles 7 days a week? Does he walk by himself? That's why we need him on the phone,
right?
And I know he's a little cheap. He doesn't want to make the phone call because he doesn't want to have to pay the additional fees to call us here in Boston. But I think that we're worth him calling. Terrence says all listeners should support this broadcast and this station.
I know it. Terrence lives in Maryland.
Yes.
And he always pays attention, and he he gives us messages on Friday night prayer. He does it on other times. I mean, he's amazing. Thank you, Terrence.
Leon says when he walks, it makes him go to sleep like a baby at night. Very relaxing.
Oh.
And Leon is a big baby, so that's nice that he sleeps like a baby.
Well, but that's an advantage that he developed that helps him.
Do you know that Leon watches all of my broadcasts and he gets ideas for his broadcast by watching mine?
Oh.
So if he wasn't watching my broadcast, he'd have nothing to say on Friday when he has his broadcast. I don't know about Terrence. I don't think Terrence broadcasts. I think Terrence watches for the information that he's
But
receiving.
Terrence oftentimes gives us brief information about God's Word that I think is important.
Somebody's calling. Let's see who it is. Caller, you're live on the air with Louise and Uncle Wall.
Dr. Louise and Uncle Wall.
And
How
who's
you all
this?
doing?
This is Leon. This is
Leon.
Leon.
Oh, nice to hear your voice,
nice to
Leon.
hear your voice. Yeah. Did you
Yes,
hear?
it is.
Did you hear Louise says that you watch my broadcast just so you can get some ideas for Friday? That's terrible.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Dr. Louise. Actually, you gave me some good ideas. Yeah, you did.
Yes, that's very good.
This
Well,
is-
it's good. It's good when we develop a good idea and we apply it to ourselves, and it gives us an advantage of a sort.
That's right.
Did I see you walking with your wife the other day?
Yeah, you did. Actually, for my birthday, which was just a few days ago.
Oh, happy
and
birthday.
thank you very much. I'm trying to catch up with you, Pastor Wall.
No, you won't.
I'm trying, but I don't think I will.
Yes.
Oh, that's
yes,
a good comeback.
Yes. Happy birthday.
Well, thank you very much,
Yes.
Dr. Louise.
Yes.
And I say doctor because guess what? You have so much knowledge. I did want to impart some knowledge to you. And I'm not sure if this is something new for you, but walking is, as you said, phenomenal. It is amazing because I tend to walk 5 days, maybe sometimes even 6 or 7 days a week, 5 miles a day. And I've been doing that off and on, over the past 7 or 8 years, depending. Yeah, so I get a challenge from my daughters, or I get a challenge from my wife to get out the house and actually do some walking.
Right.
So that's what I do. I love to walk, and I do it usually by myself. And it rejuvenates you. And so I think walking is one of the best health opportunities that people that can have the opportunity to walk to do it.
Don't you find it boring walking?
Actually, no, because I usually have my camera,
Okay.
and I'm talking into the camera
Okay.
for, it usually takes me about an hour to an hour and 10 minutes to do 5 miles.
Well,
So I'm talking while I'm walking, and I'm talking about everything imaginable, anything that's in my brain.
Yeah.
I give a brain dump, and people listen to what I have to say. It's usually Facebook Live, and that's how I stop the monotony of being bored while I
know.
walk.
if I did a brain dump while I was walking, that would probably be a 2-minute walk. So, so I
I don't
understand.
know about all that, Pastor.
Well, yeah.
Well, you ought to try it. You ought to try walking.
I purchased a bike. Okay, everybody knows that I bought an electric bike. So on my manual bike, it would take me an hour on my bike ride that I would do periodically. A nice hour ride. On my electric bike, Leon, it's 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the. This is not to insult you by any stretch of the imagination.
No, because I have your number. I can call into your program on Friday.
I know you can. Actually, I'm sure you will.
I know. Well, the advantage that I mentioned about using the walker that someone in the church gave me, that was important for me to do because I've had both my knees replaced. But the other thing is that one of my sons walks every single day.
Wow.
He's a building contractor, and every time he has a period of time that he can do this, he walks.
Wow.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
a good thing.
And he has
Yes.
told me, and I didn't encourage him to do it. He told me that he's been doing it.
Wow.
Wow, that's good.
Yes,
I'm
very
gonna have
good.
to look into it. I'm gonna have to look into it. You were gonna make an insulting statement, but you never got a chance to say it.
Oh yeah. I was just going to say that those electric bicycles and electric gizmos. I'm sure that at some point you'll probably be on one of those electric skateboards.
There you go.
Yeah, versus walking. I'm not sure if those count for walking, Pastor.
I know. And Terrence said, I'm walking now and listening to this broadcast.
Wow.
And typing walking is a complete opposite of boredom for me. Another thing I love is walking, listening to the audio Bible. Wow.
Yes. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yes,
Actually,
yes.
I should think about doing that as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
Terrence is good at that.
Well,
yes.
you have a choice, Leon. You have a choice to walk and listen to the audio Bible. That's choice number one. Or maybe even choice number two, which would be a better choice. You can walk and listen to one of my broadcasts.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Or one of your broadcasts.
Excuse me, did I just hear you say that you have an alternative? You could listen to Louise's broadcast rather than mine? Is that what you said?
How did you know?
What time is your broadcast? 11 o'clock on Fridays?
And that's nap time for
Yeah, that's my nap time.
Yeah, that's what he said. He already said that this morning. That he has to get his nap in, and it probably is on Friday at 11 o'clock.
That's right. That's right.
Sure.
One last comment because we've got to go.
We're running out of time.
Terrence said he does 30. He says 30 minutes fly by, and he says you're using your muscle. So between both of you and Louise, I'll commit to trying a walk next week because we have snow coming in. We have they said 8 to 12 inches coming in over the weekend.
You see, but I walk in the snow, rain, heat. It doesn't make a difference. It can be 15 above zero, 15 degrees, and I'm still walking.
You're no help.
Yeah, no, but you're making it work for yourself, and that's important.
Leon, thanks for
thank you.
Thanks for calling in, and I'll think of some good one-liners for 11 o'clock on Friday. See you later.
And thanks for calling on my broadcast.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Louise.
Yes, all right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye
Wow, I think I'm out of time.
Well, Terrence said 4 laps around the high school track is 1 mile that can be done in 6 to 7 minutes.
Wow.
Well, Louise.
Good for him.
I'm going to give the broadcast back to you so you can summarize.
I thought we were going to focus on the governor's talk, but it ended up that we did what we normally did on the other broadcast we did for many, many years, and that is we just talked about what we thought about as we looked at each other.
Right. Well, I think that's what we should do.
Yes, and it works.
Right. It was organic. It just happened. And I think they're better conversations when you do it that way.
Okay.
So I think it's time for us to get out of here. There seems to be a third person in the room.
I know. I believe it's the studio manager.
I think she's trying to intimidate us, but I'm not easily intimidated. Okay, and I know. I walked into her office the other day, and she had something on her desk called Lorna Dunes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I
And it
remember
took-
those.
Right, and it took a lot of discipline for me not to touch those.
Oh, okay. Well, I will see everybody next week. Goodbye.
Tampa Bay, now Boston.